It's just approaching 5 to 5 in the evening. What we're tapping into terminal.
Boy, Mikey, it's Christmas already.
Boy, tell you Christmas don't like, brother.
How we get here so fast?
Boy, I know me.
Boy, happy here.
What we do? You hear that, John?
Man, you lie.
Depending on place for Christmas, boy. Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too, bro.
Let's sing this song together.
Yes, sir.
Let it go.
Come on.
Look, me family coming from all around the world.
Yeah, man.
It's good vibes to bring it for every boy and girl. Christmas is the season, and we all know the reason why after 10 kids not sleeping, cause the ham it ain't done. Christmas is here, and it's time to celebrate it. Christmas is here, and all my friends are related. Christmas is here, no time to exercise. Christmas is here, watch the city now alive. Oh, outside look like Christmas, and inside smell like Christmas. People real nice, cause it's Christmas time. Oh, I know that I love Christmas. You look like you love Christmas, so let's all have a grand Christmas time. Oh, I ain't seeing quite a while. Christmas carols playing got me feeling like a child. Cause we've been waiting to start all the decorating, cause we anticipating eating ham and opening gifts. Christmas is here, and we too love to celebrate it. Christmas is here, all around I know you can feel it. Christmas is here, everybody on the road. Christmas is here, grab a friend and let me go. Outside look like Christmas, and inside smell like Christmas. People real nice, cause it's Christmas time. I know that I love Christmas. You look like you love Christmas, so let's all have a grand Christmas time. We thank God for the season. We all know the reason. Christ he came. Come in praises. Christmas is a blessing. Forget all this stressing. Come on. And let me have a good time. Outside look like Christmas, and inside smell like Christmas. People real nice, cause it's Christmas time. I know that I love Christmas. You look like you love Christmas. So let's all have a grand Christmas time. Outside look like Christmas, and inside smell like Christmas. People realize cause it's Christmas time. I know that I love Christmas. You look like you love Christmas. So let's all have a grand Christmas time. Merry Christmas!
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to be with you this evening. This wonderful fifth day of December, the last month in the year, and we've made it through many nights on the Marcia Week show. And it is so good to be here with you. I am sitting in for Marcia, your host, your hostess. Um, since she's unable to join us at this time, I'll be here with you for the first half of the show, and I will be joined later by Apostles Canterbury, as well as Mr. Alvin Babb. I'm sure looking forward to a wonderful evening with you. I want to thank Dave for his assistance, and we know that we are having his support in the absence of Marcia. I know that we're in capable hands, and Dave will enable us to have a good evening together. What a wonderful way to spend a Friday evening with loyal sons and daughters all. And permit me to greet you in my usual way. Good evening, loyal sons and daughters all, firm craftsmen and women of our faith. What an opportunity, what a privilege to be craftsmen of our faith as we are entering into our 60th year of independence. Don't ever forget it. Though others will want to erase it and superimpose um, republic on us, we shan't ever forget that we have been an independent nation some 59 years, and we're stepping into our 60th year, and we give thanks. I want to greet those persons who are here online. Do pardon me if I'm getting accustomed to being this side of the camera, but I would want to greet persons, and I am looking this evening already. I'm going to give a shout out to those I am seeing here. Good evening, Judy. Nice to have you as usual. You're always very early. I'm waiting for us to begin and sending us wonderful greetings. Good evening, Josh. Good to have you. Carol, Michael. I'm not calling your surnames. I'm just addressing you by your what I see here. Taroni, good evening. You're usually very early to joining us, and thank you for your greetings. Good evening to you, Diana. And Diana says good night to all. Good night, Marcia. And she's telling us to like and share loyal opposition. Do that for us. Like and share as we go along. Then I have Aretha, and Aretha is making a comment here, and you can read it in the chat. But Aretha, like most of us, is concerned about the state of affairs in our land. I want to say good evening to Mavis, and Mavis sends us a warm and blessed good night to everyone. We receive it and we send it out to those here in Barbados, across the Caribbean, and in the diaspora in the UK, in Canada, in North America, the US of A, wherever you are, I'm joining with Marva to say a blessed night, a blessed night, and greetings. I want also to say good night to Laurie. Good night. She says, loyal opposition are ready for class. How nice. As Marcia always says, say to us that these sessions are inspirational, educational, motivational, and I do hope that they will prompt you to action in the interests of your nation. I want to say, and yes, Laurie, do remind them to say, to like and share. Born Again 48. Bless good night to you too. Jacqueline, good night. We receive your greetings. Andrea sends us divine greetings, everyone. How wonderful. Matthew, good night to you too. Thank you. And Judith Ann, good night to you. Pauline, good night. Monica, good night. And Sharon, good night. And we say good night to all who will be joining us. And we do look forward to sharing with you. Myself, as I said, Apostles Canterbury and Mr. Bab, who will be joining later. There's so much that we've got to talk about. So much has been happening. We've just come through independence, celebration of independence, and now we are into the month of December where most of us, prepare for Christmas. And I would ask you to be very safe and to be cautious as you go around your errands, doing your errands. Sometimes we're caught up in the festivities, the Christmas music we're hearing, our spirits are light, and we're looking at, securing that bargain, doing our shopping, and sometimes we're not as careful and as vigilant as we should be. So let's take some thank you, Madrid. I do appreciate your welcome. So let us, as we go around, be mindful of our surroundings, uh, secure our possessions, our pockets, our bags, and be cheerful. Spread some love. Look out for that person who needs that extra help and attention. And we shall have a good season. We make it as best as we can for ourselves, our families, our communities, our nation. We do love Barbados, don't we? I know you do, and I do too. And I want to spend my time. I've got more time than I usually have. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, Dave, to do my presentation. And it comes in the light of what has been happening recently, what we've been hearing recently concerning uh, education. As you know, I am passionate about education. I've devoted my life to education um, over 5 decades. And I believe this is my calling. I believe that my calling has always been to enable persons to receive information, to receive knowledge, and to improve themselves through learning, through the offerings that can be made in terms of beyond reading, writing, and arithmetic. I subscribe to to education from the cradle to the grave. There's always an opportunity every day to learn something new, whether in a formal setting or informal as setting as we do on this show. The nights that I'm not with you sharing like this, I sit and I learn. I sit and I learn from others in the chat, from others presenting. I learn about what's happening on the ground in Barbados, in the Caribbean, across the world. As long as we are, as I usually quote from the Bible, sitting clothed and in our right minds, we can learn. So, Dave, could we just get started on my presentation? And I captioned it Return to Sender. Dave, thank you. Remember to like and share. And we were hoping that we could have played Elvis Presley's um, hit Return to Sender, address unknown, no such number, no such code. You know that, don't you? I'm dating myself, am I not? But I'm sure some of you in my age group would have had that exercise book, listening to Rediffusion or the radiogram, and writing out these I almost said him, these tunes, these hits, and dancing to them and singing to them when we had the opportunity to. So I'm sure some of you, and you can listen to it on YouTube, Return to Sender. And to whom am I returning this letter? You would have heard in the news of a letter that will be circulating to hundreds of households where there is a child or several children attending schools in Barbados from primary through to secondary. And let us critique what we have heard recently concerning this letter. And I would engage your comments too. And I am quoting from an article titled Ministry Introduces National Student Development Tracker. And this article is written by Sharia Braithwaite in Barbados Today, the 4th, that was yesterday of December 2025. And I have looked at other sources, so this is an accurate account of what was shared. And may I read for you. Parents across Barbados will shortly receive official letters detailing the real cost of their children's education as part of a pioneering initiative by the Ministry of Educational Transformation to underscore the value of free primary and secondary schooling, showing a zero balance to the parent, Minister Chad Blackman announced. Don't go, Dave. Just let's critique this. We are hearing about the real cost of education and another. This Ministry of Education, this government, seems to be always on on a quest to pioneer some initiative, to pioneer an initiative. They're not pioneering an initiative here. And this initiative is to underscore, and you do know when you underscore, you're stressing something, the value of free primary and secondary education, showing a zero balance to the parent, according to Minister Chad Blackman. I'm going to explore if this is not another ploy to get into our heads, our headspace, and to laud this government for taking the cost of education and giving a zero balance to the parent. We do know they have a way of using words to play on your mind. Let's pay attention to that. A new national education tracker, not that, another new term. We got so many terms coming out in the last uh, 7 years, and most recently under this new minister and the one prior minister who was the former minister, McConney. They're so full of terms, terminology. In all my time in education, I have not encountered all this. You need to have a special vocabulary when relating to the Ministry of Education. Now we are being told about a new national education tracker will also be designed to monitor students' development from primary through secondary school, he revealed in an interview with Barbados today. I parked that to speak to it later. Next slide, Dave. Thank you. Next slide, Dave. Thank you. Continuing, he said, one of the things that the ministry, in partnership with the Ministry of Finance, is going to roll out is to ensure that we give the cost of each child at the primary and secondary level, and at the bottom of that, it will say the cost to you is $0. But above, we will show the value of it. Is this a shopping list? Has education now become a shopping list? So you take someone to the supermarket, you tell them shop, they shop, you pay, and then you say, this is the value of what I have paid for you. You owe nothing. Education is not a shopping list. I find this presumptuous that you should, and I'm using terms now, insult the intelligence of the educated Barbadian public, because we do know that there be persons out there, and I believe that it is a way of working on our subconscious minds and thinking. And soon we're going to have some people out there saying, zero cost to us. Yes, we have come along, folks, and you can agree with me. We have come along hearing education is free. But we have always been sensible and wise enough to know that there is a cost assigned and attached to the offerings of education. When education was described as being free, it came pre independence, moving into independence, because at that time I went into St. Michael's School in 1967. And if I had gone in, or if I were born early and had entered, passed that exam, and passed for St. Michael's School, girls' school, my poor, my father was um, um, still alive, but they were poor. My mother was poor. My grandparents poor. There was already an uncle attending foundation school, and they had to pay for it. So who would have been able to afford education? Let's just say education was made more universal and more attainable and more achievable for the average poor Barbadian who could not, and we have been told of many poor black boys, particularly, who could not enter into schools like Combermere and Lodge and Hartson College because the parents were not able to pay, and they were marginalized or not afforded the opportunity of scholarship from the vestry. We've heard of many who were turned away. And therefore, when we have come along hearing the term that education is free, in a sense, it meant that it was more accessible. There were more opportunities and places, and there were not the encumbrances of having to meet a course. If you were privileged to pass the exam into the older secondary schools, and those who didn't make it into the older secondary schools still had the opportunity through the establishment of what we call the secondary schools. And from that, we came into the newer secondary school. So we had schools like Princess Margaret, St. Leonard's boys, St. Leonard's girls. We had schools we came up there with schools like Lester Vaughan. We had schools coming up like St. George Secondary was one of the earliest ones. The earliest ones were the St. Leonard's, Princess Margaret, St. George Secondary School. And so that is what we meant by, I am seeing it in terms of more accessibility as well as not being encumbered with paying school fees. So don't come now in this enlightened age to tell us that you are offering education to us at $0. And then you're going to show us itemize the value. You will itemize the what you're offering us, and then you're saying like we're saying case dismiss, case dismiss. You owe nothing. We do know that the taxpayers have always, have always, through the taxes paid into the treasury, enabled the delivery of education. Those who don't want public education will pay for private education if they can. But don't come to us telling us that you're giving us something at no cost. There is a cost. And I find this offending and offensive. Let's continue. What I'm no Dave, let me continue the previous slide. What that will do is to show the country, are you listening, folks? The parents and specifically the children, what we've been spending on their development through education. This is what the cost is to you as a parent, which is $0. Return that letter to sender with your own comments. I've seen a bombardment on Facebook in response to this. Some of the comments have not been very complimentary towards the Minister Blackman. But I will refrain from being uncomplimentary. But I would say I agree with the outbursts from the public, speaking in terms of feeling insulted, feeling belittled, and reminding him and through him to the government with whom he sits that the taxpayers are contributing to the education, and it is not the government, not this administration. He continues to say, and for the avoidance of doubt, that will continue to be so. There's no payment for anybody, but we will roll it out shortly. Next slide, Dave. Thank you. And this brings us to the question of cost versus value of education. And this is from me. And I say to all those who are listening, and I'm sure you'll agree with me to some extent, I hope fully, that the cost of education can never exceed the intrinsic and extrinsic, qualitative as well as quantitative value of education. No amount of listing and affixing a cost to it to make people, in a sense, it makes one feel guilty. It makes one say, oh, to spend all this money, to spend. I don't know what is the psychological motive behind this latest pronouncement from the Minister of Education. Something does not sit well. This is plain psychologically and with one's affective domain when we hear what they are about to do. From the poorest and maybe to the most wealthy, education matters. It matters. And yes, I have always been concerned with the visage that I would have seen. It was my concern with children throw away school meals, and we would reprimand and scold them. And in my time, the teachers would make them sit and eat it. And we would tell them it is not free. At that time, they used to bring, I think, 10 cents, 10 cents a day or $1 a week for the school meal. And we would always tell them, you see that $1, it had to be given to you by your parent. It is not free. Your parent is paying for it. Don't waste it, eat it. There has always been a cost. I had, as I said, I have scolded children for not handling school books properly. We taught them how to handle the school book, the textbook scheme at secondary school level. And yes, there must be parental input in terms of how children care and respect school property that they have in their possession. There's a cost to it. But can we go down this route? I am wondering what is next. You realize that I am at a loss. I've been pondering what is next. To me, you are saying that you want to promote the value and valuing education, but at the same time, you are making it seem as if we're giving you this. We're giving you this, so you better take care of it. Never, ever, ever in my time it, as a school child, in my time as um, a school child, in my time as a teacher, in my time as an adult, a Barbadian citizen, part of the Barbadian public, have I ever heard such comments that education is at zero cost to you and we want you to value it? Yes, I have heard people saying, uh, government persons in government stressing the importance of making the best of the educational opportunities given to them, successive governments, but they've never gone to this point. What are they planning? And I am reading here from Angela Humble 7250. That second paragraph is erroneous. Who is the we that have been spending on their development? In quotes. Who is the we that have been spending on their development? The we is really the taxpayers, not the government as he wants to imply. That initiative is a waste. Let's leave that part out. But the implication here is that they're spending money again on us. It's their money. When you hear them speak, they are always speaking, look what we have done for you. We've given you roads. We've upgraded, we've given you this, we're giving you that. We plan to give you. So they're giving us, that's what I'm saying. It's this thing that they seem to be seeking to work on our psyche so that you will have a group of persons, a generation who would be raised on the notion that this particular government is so benevolent. Nobody before them has done anything for the people of Barbados. And if you listen to the comments, if you listen to the comments and read the comments, there's a generation out there that believes it, that will repeat it, because it is like saying cuckoo and flying fish what? Cuckoo and flying fish what? It's conquerors and buster. So we have some persons whose staple right now is analogous to conquerors and buster. It is this, the white shirt group. It is the person who said, give me the vote and watch me. It is my auntie. And there is this mendicant, benevolent handling of the affairs of the people. They are boring, 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 boring. Boring that this generation that they are making to believe that everything is a gift to them. This generation that they will be disenfranchising and are disenfranchising will grow up believing and not knowing that all the debts incurred, all the debts accrued, that when we and they interfere with our pensions, and the NIS is almost at the bottom, scraping the bottom. This generation that they seem to be brainwashing. Look at the households of the parents. They will go up saying, go along, this government giving a free education, no cost you. They cannot ever, ever, ever compete with Errol Barrow. They can never, ever compete with the stalwart whose mandate, the late Sir Lloyd Erskine Sandiford, whose mandate just before independence and going into independence was to give free, open up and give freer, more opportunities for those who wanted to study at sixth form level through BCC. And we never heard. I did my research. I'm always researching. I never, ever heard it being thrown back to the Barbadian public. Look what we do for you. And this is what I seem to be hearing from Minister Blackman, and I'm so disappointed. I am so disappointed with this recent offering to us. Let us move on, Dave, because I know the time is approaching. Next slide. Now, here's some questions I want to ask. From the article, it is said and reported speech by the minister. The document will serve as a national reminder. Return it to sender. Why a national reminder of the real price of free education at the point of delivery, the minister said. Already, let me backtrack a little bit before you answer questions. Aren't you who have children going to school contributing, although you're taxpayers, contributing in some way, meeting some cost? The textbook scheme, a cost. Aren't you meeting some cost? School supplies? Will those be on the list? Yes, you will subsidize. The list might show that the textbook scheme is subsidized, but I am told, do you pay $175 a school year for the textbook scheme? Are you not meeting a cost when you have to give by other textbooks that the textbook scheme, the government textbook scheme, does not have on the list? Those textbooks are subject to verbal agreement. The textbooks that are not on the list, do you not have to buy? And recently I was in the bookstore at Cape Shepherd with my sister who was here on holiday, and we were browsing, and she was saying, wow, this is expensive. Wow, this is expensive. And I'm saying, imagine a household that has, say, 2 children at secondary school, even at primary school. They issue long book lists. Do you take that to the Ministry of Education and say, here's the additional book list? Give me the funds to go and buy it? No. You pull that out of your pocket. So in addition, let's say at secondary school, you're paying that $175, you still have to buy school supplies, additional textbooks. Do you still pay petty fees at secondary school? Or what we call game fees and petty fees. In my time, I don't know what they're called now. What about when the children have extracurricular activities and they have to pay for those activities? They have to pay for transportation if it's off-site, or if they have to go off school compound to do it. I am told that even in woodwork, even in the cooking classes, the culinary skills classes, that students have to provide the items or some of the items to be used in these skills, hands-on skills sessions. So it's not at zero cost. You are still picking up the slack in many ways. Are uniforms free? Are uniforms subsidized? These are the things that do not be fooled by that list they're sending to you. There is a cost to the taxpayers. There's a cost to the treasury in the vote that goes to the Ministry of Education. And where does it come from? There is a cost for the debt that you will be paying. Whatever happened with all that money from EduTech 2000? There was a cost to you. A loan from IADB, a loan from CDB. There is a cost. Do not accept this letter. Question it. Let us continue here because they're full of rhetoric. It sounds sweet. But Minister Blackman, I have always had some kind of empathy for you and say, give him a chance, give him a chance. But I feel someone is setting you up, Minister Blackman, to fail and fall and hit hard with a loud, resounding thud. Or somebody wants education to fail. I have never seen so many efforts in a short time that one would say can cause the demise of education as we have known it. Not perfect, not perfect, but it worked. In 2018, we seem to have had, that ministry has had 3 ministers of education between 2018 and 2025. We had a reluctant first minister, minister of education, who is now the deputy prime minister, Sancho Bradshaw. That minister, was told was a very pouting minister, reluctant minister of education. She was moved. Then came Minister McConney, and I must confess, I was pleased because, as I've said here many times in this forum, that I worked with her on the setting up of the youth entrepreneurship scheme in the initial stages as a volunteer for a long period until funds were there to bring us on to do training. And again, we weren't getting consultancy fee, just a little per diem, a stipend. And I was anticipating that Minister McConney would seek to transform and energize education, build on what worked, and introduce innovative, relevant policies that could be transferred and translated into programs and outcomes, good outcomes. How disappointing she was, disappointing that I raised my voice in this forum that she should resign. And then I thought that they would have brought up Sandra Husbands, MP Sandra Husbands, to run that ministry. Again, we worked together. And I know her passion for education, for learning, for development. But no, they brought Mr. Blackman in, and his first, to me, it was like a bull in a china shop. His first address to the nation on education, if you remember that, as a senator, was highly political, full of rhetoric, as if he were speaking to the UN or wherever he was based as an ambassador. I have said before, running a ministry of education cannot be compared to that of being an ambassador. It takes what you have been bandying about. The latest thing is creating critical thinkers. As if Barbados never had critical thinkers before. Critical thinking came in 2018, May 2018, when the BLP administration assumed governance of Barbados. None of us before then were critical thinkers. It came with them and their carry on luggage and in their sent through luggage. And here it is that this is how education is being handled. Nobody in the ministry seems to be getting it done properly. So here now a new terminology. Add that to your list of new terms. You know, when we were at school, you had a little book called vocabulary book. I don't know about you, but you will write a new word in it. And therefore, when I was 9 years old, I used to use the word picturesque because that's how we were taught. Now he's talking about point of delivery. What does he mean by that? I spent a good time this evening and I asked my husband to help me search through. What do you mean by point of delivery? And it's a very technical term used in the electrical world. But here, and yes, it is used in business. And basically, it means where goods and services are handed over, point of delivery. So, when he speaks about point of delivery, where does this begin? Where is this point of delivery that he says the documents will serve as a national reminder? Not that word, national. So you're going to, just like how you had the postman coming around sending around the voters list, you know what they were doing, delivering it nationally. You are going to send a national reminder of the real price of free education. And I don't trust you, you might inflate it because already we have problems with the monies received and the transparency and accountability. So please don't go inflating that list to traumatize parents and guardians. That's another thing that I'm appealing for. Don't inflate. Don't put hidden costs in there. Don't put in contingencies in your quotation. Who will determine the cost, the costing? How will that costing be worked out? Tell us about where is the point of delivery. Where is the point of delivery? Where you gonna find that? Where is it before? Are you going to fact? I don't understand. Come talk to us. So someone asks here, the point of delivery is a very transactional term and has a commercial connotation. I was thinking that too. Is that where the BLP is taking education, like the transport board? I say. Next thing here, the minister talks about a new national education tracker. I cannot keep up. I don't know if to laugh, but I sure ain't gonna cry. but I do cry in the midnight hour. I do get up at 2 o'clock in mornings and three. I walk up and down this house crying about the state of affairs in this country, real tears. But I will not be crying in public. I do wake up early on mornings, and my first thought after saying you every morning is thy love, or waking on up, rising through sleep and darkness, safely brought, restored to life and power and thought. And amongst my first thoughts are for the children of Barbados, that they go to school, reach school safely, that they attend, that there be no violence, that there be respect from teacher to student, from student to respect to teacher. But right now, I don't know if there's a comedy that is playing out before us. A new national education tracker. See what is going on in our schools. We had that IADB questionnaire without the permission on sexual orientation, etc., without the permission or the scrutiny of the parents and guardians. Even some teachers were not aware of what it contained. Then we had the fiasco at Princess at Springer Memorial Girls. And on the list goes on things that are occurring in our schools. Some we hear of, some we don't know. But I'm asking you now, the latest is that there will be a new national education tracker. What is that? Will be designed to monitor students' development from primary through secondary school, he revealed in an interview with Barbados today. And my questions are, what does this new national education tracker entail? Just that I understand up to now what they meant about, they call it the schools of excellence that they were to have, or the colleges of excellence. Now I have to deal, and I think that I ain't too daft or slow, a little bit slower than others, but I could still reason. What is, somebody tell me, what is this new national education tracker that will be designed to monitor the students' development from primary through secondary school? Is this part of the continuous assessment? I don't know. They have been thrown so many things at us that they plan to do to determine your child's abilities and capabilities. I don't know what's happening here. I asked, explain please. What will it comprise? How will it be designed? What are the components of this new national education tracker? This just are we trying to see the Ministry of Educational Transformation, whatever I get right yet? And I'm not being facetious. It's too much coming at us. How will this national education tracker be implemented? How will it be administered? Who will administer it? What will be the implications? Are we now moving into Big Brother in the classroom, similar to Big Brother, of which George Orwell wrote in 1984 in his um, um, book on 1984? Please ask questions about this. But again, it will be rolled out shortly. You know everything it is, or it will be rolled out shortly. You will hear about the Carry Festa budget after the fact shortly. So this will be rolled out shortly. You see how they're messing? Next slide. Next slide, Dave. Now, again, my research, and I continue asking the question, where has this tracking concept come from all of a sudden and being imposed on our educational system and the Barbadian public? Where has it come from? And my research shows that it is has been in, is it another North American influence on how we do education here, how we deliver education? We were told last week recently that they're planning that teachers should have a license to teach. They're looking at teachers acquiring a license to practice in the classroom. All these things are in an effort to stamp their mark, to create a legacy. Remember, the Honorable Madam Liz Thompson said down there at Folkestone or on one of the platforms, I think it was the last night of that election, that they want to create a legacy in Mia Motley. Is this part of seeing the under our tenor? We did this because you cannot come up with a solution on how to do the common entrance, what will replace it. So you distract to say, although we didn't get to that, we put in what a new national education tracker. We introduced AI into classroom, robotics. We did all of these wonderful things. We built a climate resilient unit. We did all these things. Oh, we're creating critical thinkers, world class critical thinkers. And then the leaders and drivers of education themselves and other ministries in Barbados do not demonstrate to us the evidence of critical thought and that they themselves are critical thinkers, looking at cause and effects and consequences and the results and outcomes and what if and coming with the best lessons learned that can be drawn on. So I'm asking, is this tracking concept another North American influence, particularly as done in parts of the US of A? This is what are we, where does it come from? How will it work? Why are you introducing it? So we get the hot potato drop on us about the letter that will be sent out. Now we get drop on us this tracking, I call it tracking device. You can put, when you have persons who are out on bail in other countries, you put a tracking device on their ankles to know where they're about and that they're not committing another crime while out. How you going to track it? No. Here are some questions. While you are at sending out that list with itemizing the cost of education, and mind you, there are going to be people out there saying, oh, they're not pushing um, talking about people's value should value education. Don't ever let it be said about me. I value education. That's why I'm talking about it, because I want the best to continue in education. What in working, and you have rationalized, you have critiqued it, you have determined empirically that it does not work. I am saying do what is best in the interest of the nation's children and the country. I believe in, while we are working on the academics, I believe, and I have always incorporated the affective domain, things that the socialization skills, value of self, value of your community, value of your family, value of your nation. I always promote that. But I will not buy into this thing of promoting this new belief system that education has begun with you in 2018. And while you're at it, Mr. Blackman, go back to critical mission. You were probably still in Switzerland or wherever you were overseas. But in the manifesto of the BLP, and this platform has heard me so many times saying it, mission critical in your manifesto stated that within 6 months, by September 2018, you would have had what you call it, security, not so, forget the name of the officers at the bus stop where many children congregate to ensure that they get to school in a timely fashion and they do not congregate and cause and contribute to crime and violence or get into any deviant behavior activity, that you were going to ensure that there is dedicated, timely bus service, amongst other things. Go back and look at Mission Critical and take off and see what you have done since making that statement, that ambitious statement in your manifesto, that by September, 6 months after assuming government, those are the things you do, Mr. Blackman, before you interfere with anything, sir. Go and look at that manifesto. Again, I would ask you please to go and look at that the luncheon and the town hall meetings. I'm saying, Mr. Bab, I'm soon handing over to you, Mr. Bab. Go back and look at all the contributions at those town hall meetings, analyze them, critique them. The late Patrick Frost, and I wanted to write a tribute to him, but I was so busy. And in that tribute, I was going to extrapolate and send to the press the things that he would have said at that town hall meeting at Harrison College. I think that was the last one. Yes, the last one. Of what education transformation should be about and reform, the do's and the don'ts. Go, Mr. Blackman, and pull up all, spend some time, take some leave, and pull up all of those town hall meetings and hear what the people had to say about education. And while we're at it, I got some more questions for you, sir. You're talking about costs. We are still waiting to hear about the true cost of the whole project, housing project. Right, Mr. Bob, you could wave. We are still waiting for the full disclosure and accounting of all the monies borrowed. You're talking about money. You're talking about money. Tell us about all that you've borrowed, where it has gone to, how it's been spent, who got paid back. At the same time, tell us about what the consultants have been getting and what they've been doing. You're talking about costs? Give me some costs here. What about no cost to a fritzing bank for prime crown land? When you itemize it, you came up with no cost. How did you get there? What about the cost for Carry Festa? What about the cost for regathering? What about the cost for renovating Oysters for the World Cup? What is the cost for the matchstick straw house at Newton? The house that similar to the two piggies who built the house that the bad wolf huffed and puffed and blow down. That's a straw house. What about that cost? What about the cost of the free fets that this administration entices the youth and others with? And you are coming to us, Mr. Blackman, with this fallacy to bewitch those who don't know otherwise or wouldn't think otherwise, that want them to believe and continue praising and worshiping and adoring this government, this particular administration, for the trinkets that they hand out. And now this latest thing is a mass circulation on education, where you're going to tell the people there's no cost to you, zero cost. That's not a good sign. Respect us. If you want to challenge, I have nothing against you, sir, challenging the Barbadian public, going into the schools and speaking to the children and talking to them about the value of education and not wasting it, and not wasting the funds that their parents, and another thing too, many of these children who are attending schools, some of their parents are unemployed, underemployed, seasonal workers, on contract. And they will buy into this, and many of them are young, very young. And they will buy into this, that this government cares about us. This government is giving us education that we ain't going to pay for, but they're not going to look at all the other things that they have to contribute to for their children's education. Go into the schools and talk to the children about valuing education, making the best of it. But don't be in front of a camera, and don't be, what's the word, sending out this kind of message to work on people's minds and to buy favor and to buy votes. People rise up and ask. When you mess with education, Mr. Bat would concur. You're messing with the present and the future. And we can't afford to let it happen. Folks, I am out of fear. I'm glad for this opportunity to have shared with you on these developments and occurrences in education. I'm going to ask you to be watchmen on the tower, watch women on the tower, watch persons, and speak out and speak out. Education matters, and the value of education, intrinsic, extrinsic value. Extrinsic is the qualifications, the certificates, the achievements, but most importantly, the intrinsic value is what outlives the extrinsic rewards and values of education and outcome. Blessings, everybody. I am moving out of this seat
Thank
and
you.
handing over to my colleague,
Thank you,
Nick.
Rose.
Good night.
Thank you, Rose. Thank you very much. Good night. Thank you very much. We want to thank Rose Corbin for that dialogue and an eye opener on the state of education. And I just want to congratulate you for putting the case so eloquently and clearly that all Barbadians at this point will know that I will say to the minister, you don't have to send us any letter for us to know the value of education because as parents, we benefited. You don't have to send us a cost because some of that cost we incur ourselves. Some of that cost we are incurring at present because instead of you focusing on filling the areas that are lacking in terms of teachers. We have teachers in all across the island where we do not have teachers in subject areas like math, social studies at schools for 3 and 4 terms. But instead of focusing on that, you and filling those areas, you're sending us a letter to remind us what we know. But I'm saying that this, you started by saying, Rose, that this is December. And punctuating this time of the year is gift giving. And the first gift this political Santa Claus give to parents or proposing to give to parents is a letter telling them that there's zero balance for education. He has insulted the intelligence of our people. And if you have not printed those letters, please keep them. Leave them on the screen. And let us get ahead with addressing the most important areas that need to be addressed. And the people, and I know parents, many parents across Barbados are trying to make sense of the letter and why it is sent. And there is an address by the spokesman for education in the opposition that addressed this matter. And I invite people at some point in time to listen to it if you have not. And then there are some persons who are further trying to make sense of why this letter is being sent to parents at this time. So, Rose, we want to thank you very much for explaining it to us. And do have a very good night. Thank you. Thank you. Tonight, we're going to be joined by Pastor Scatterbury. Yes, that is it, Dave.
Not transparency. It is an insult to parents. Parents do not need any bill to understand the value of their children's education. What we need is real action, accountability, and results. Millions are spent on public education every year, yet there is little reporting, no public debate, no clarification on how these funds are being used. What we do need is better schools, safer classrooms, trained teachers, modern learning tools, and systems that track and support our students, not these empty gestures that mock our concerns. Education is a right, not a commodity. This government needs to stop wasting our time and resources on letters that insult parents and start investing in the quality education of our children. For many years, we have been discussing educational transformation where millions have been spent. We request that the government at least tell us and send us the letters with every account of every cent that has been spent in those various departments. This is what we need. We need total transparency, not what it costs our children to go to school. We know the value of education of our children.
Thank you very much, Dave. And then there is a group of concerned parents that are cautioning. We're hearing from parents as well, trying to make sense. We have a group of concerned parents, and if you can pull up that article, let's see what they were saying to this minister about this planned letter that is going to be sent. You have to make it a little bigger that we can read it. You have it. Oh, you have it, and you have it as not only there's a address as well. Oh yes, there's a voice note as well.
Some parents might be deeply disturbed by a potential implication that we are indebted to the government for the education of our children and that government has magnanimously or generously canceled that debt. More importantly, we know that education is no free lunch. Our blood, sweat, and tears are in the taxpayers' dollars which fund education.
Thank you very much. So this is Miss Moore.
Such a billing statement exercise may open an unwanted can of worms. It has been officially recognized that the education system is failing too many children. Too many children leave school uncertified with poor literacy and numeracy skills. Should the tax-paying parent or guardian ask back for their money? If we are using accounting terms, should we ask for a more detailed accounting and accountability and transparency on primary and secondary school results? Starting this communication exercise by first focusing on dollars and cents risks dehumanizing the value of education.
Thank you so much. So those are the sport. That is the spokesman for parents, and if you're a parent, you should be concerned as well. So Rose, there are people, there are persons and committees out there trying to make sense of what this government, and I believe this was discussed at cabinet, is trying to do. And it cannot be lost on any of us that there is a pending election. There is a pending election, and they are going to try to influence persons who are still in school as first-time voters heading to the polls next year to make them believe that education is, they were given a freebie by this government. I remember clearly how they made Barbadians react to the point about the system, the education at the UE, and many people went away very angry with the last administration, not understanding what it was. And here we go again on the eve of the next election. So I'm hoping that Barbadians take this and understand that this government, just like transportation, we were discussing it just last week. And why is it that every sector that impacts the ordinary man, that moves him from, impacts on his success, gets him to work, to and from work, education, upward mobility, something that is all that some of our people have. Why are you interfering or trying to make us believe that you're doing us a favor? Then they know full well that we are contributing. And this is from a former article from a former Ronald Jones, a former minister. And I want to read, you have to go up, Dave, up, is up or down, up the page. Go up again for me. Right. In a statement, Jones labels the initiative as a symbolic gesture and an unfortunate distraction from the genuine challenges facing the education system, such as resource shortages. I can tell you about that because I know I teach. Curriculum reform delays. We are still not sure if we are transforming, informing, conforming. We are not sure where we are in terms of education and infrastructure issues because we're what is the situation with the school at Wesley Hall? Those children are back in school. He highlights the substantial and often unacknowledged contribution parents already made by paying for uniforms, books, transportation, extra lessons, devices. Asserting these sacrifices demonstrate their commitment. He concludes that the ministry is focusing on paperwork rather than meaningful solutions and calls for the ministry to redirect its efforts toward improving educational outcomes, strengthening school environments, and providing leadership grounded in substance, not symbolism. Powerful message from a former minister. No, this is not what you thought about him or what from the DLP or where he was from, but this is what we should be focusing on. So thank you very much, Mr. Jones, for reminding this young, apparently uninformed education minister about what education, the focus of education should be. So I can't thank Rose enough for that. We have a number of other issues that we want to get to as well, and then I'm going to highlight them. You can stay with me until the pastor comes if you have the time. I'm glad for the company as well, and you can chime in at present. Now, we have education. We're discussing transportation a few weeks ago. Now we saw in today's press the Chinese coming to Barbados for Christmas. Bring with it the possibilities of free medical care. We don't see the details, how it's going to be organized. But sometimes when you see those things happening, we have the Chinese in food security. We have the Chinese in major in our construction industry. Now we have them in our health care. But it has not been lost on me that the Chinese are, like the Americans, need to have a hand on this part of the world. So sometimes the devil is in the details. So we're not, it's not lost that the Americans are between Trinidad and Venezuela. But here we have now on the high seas from China, a floating hospital. Without trying to be a conspiracy theorist, I'm going to ask some questions. When you go to the doctor, you give that doctor information based on what your ailments are. When you go you go to that sheikh and you give him your medical details, what are they going to do with them? Are they going to keep them? Are there something that they're going to be stored? What is going to happen because you cannot treat a patient before they're giving you information. So we have to ask those type of questions. So until they are clear on the type of ailments or advice that they're going to give, then I will take it with a grain of salt as well. Because this is the age of information. And the more that you know about a people, then you understand who they are, what their needs are. So here we are complaining for the world to see about our present healthcare system. And lo and behold, we're going to get the services of free health care in a floating hospital by the Chinese. So let's see how that Christmas gift and what happens after Christmas with this gift that they're giving to us. All right. Or so Rose, if you're in Barbados, I don't know what kind of this is right here. Chinese hospital ship is to provide free medical care in Barbados for Christmas. Dave, can you bring up the article? And you know you're gonna make it bigger. The Barbadians will be able to access free medical and surgical services during Christmas week, when the Chinese naval ship, haha, when we talk about the naval base, what we are talking about, Rose, when you hear the word naval ship, what are they talking about? You can hear me, Rose? You're muted. I can hear you, or you can't hear me.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Sorry about
Yes.
that.
When you hear
Um,
the Chinese naval hospital ship Silk Road are docks on the island later this month. When I heard
when I
about
hear
the
naval, I
yes,
really think of things military,
military, yes.
military, army,
Yes.
um, serving, serving the people through that arm of the military services.
Yes, yes. So keep that in mind. The ship is scheduled to arrive on December 20th. You go up the page because this another go up the page for me. December 20th and remain in port until December 27th. With the public able to access services from Sunday, December 21st to Friday, December 26th between 8 and 11 and 8 a.m. That's 3 hours. And then again from 2 until 5 daily, the Ministry of Health and Wellness said. The visit forms part of the vessel's first overseas humanitarian medical mission and will provide Barbadians with access to more than 60 types of medical and surgical services, including consultations, diagnostics, and selective procedures. So your I don't know if they require your medical records, but I would have to think twice about sharing my medical records with another country. Don't mind these days they're breaking into our systems of government, hacking into our system of government very easily. So that is something that we have to talk about yet. Because there's so much delays at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. I know people will be anxious to have some type of attention because when you are ill or when you have an ailment, you want to make sure that it is dealt with in the shortest time possible. So let us keep an eye on that and see where it's going as well. Dave, we have another slide. We're asking, there's much talk. I'm trying to find that slide from that I sent you. The pensions. That has been another area um, of discussion. We saw our first article that we saw about that pension discussion was in 2023 when the then Minister of Elder Affairs, Minister Kurt Humphrey, defended the increase. That came up today again with a smiling picture of the Minister of Labor. And I am telling you that when they saw the 68 years old pension, a pensionable age, some people had some mental nightmares. So David, if you can find that slide, thank you very much. This is Minister Kurt Humphrey justifying why defending the government's um, plan to increase the age at which Barbadians are eligible for pension in Barbados. And he was saying this at a St. James South meeting. And I think this was in 2023. And yesterday, Barbadians were reminded that this is going to happen through another posting. It's definitely going to happen through another posting. And the pensionable age from 67 to 67 and a half in 2028, and then to 68 in 2034. And it's supposed to be secure the future of the country. Rose, what is your take on this age, this pensionable age, where persons will now more or less work themselves into the grave? I cannot envision myself working to 68 years, close to 70, in a school setting like this. You imagine a 60-year-old person in school education, delivering, going into a class. I'm not even talking about primary school, but I'm talking about the rigors of secondary school. And to have to work until 68 years old? Is that fair? Rose, what is your position?
I am that age. I'm moving on, and I can't see myself doing it. Um, Someone asked me a couple of days ago about, and I said no. My season for that is over. I want to be able to do it at my own pace and in my own space.
Yes.
And I think it's quite unreasonable. It doesn't look at just like how we look at the developmental needs of younger persons.
Yes.
We should also look at the aging, I don't want to say developmental, but the aging needs of
Yes.
that that more mature person. And we're hearing that after spending so much time in the workplace and then going into retirement, that many of them don't even enjoy
That.
retirement.
No.
They don't enjoy retirement. I think it's not considerate. Give people the choice. If
Yes.
you want to, do it. If you want to spend all your time going into the workplace up to 6 years or whatever, that's your choice. But it shouldn't be
The
compulsory
mandatory.
or
No.
something that you have to do so you can get that pension. Because you're spending so much now to exist and still meet the cost of work in terms of clothes and lunch or whatever. And there's no
Yes.
promotion for you either
No.
because no one is going to promote you at 65, 66, 67,
Right.
almost 68 so that it can be seen in your pension.
But Rose, why are we complaining that young people are not finding it difficult to get jobs, and then on the next hand, you're extending the retirement age? You're not making room for them because you're holding on to those persons who are more or less past their most productive years. And if they feel that they can go on, it should be a choice. But at 60, and I am getting there quite soon in a year's time, you start to feel the pressure of walking up, climbing stairs, getting up every morning,
Yeah.
meeting the demands of preparing your schoolwork. So it challenges the children in the class that they want to learn. I avoid no going upstairs at all because, as you see, you feel the effects of aging. And then if at 60 I'm feeling those effects, imagine what it should be will be at approaching 67, 68. So I'm saying this 68 years should be a choice and not mandatory to get a pension. If you have put in the years, which they now say is 33 and a third, you should be given an option to go to the system.
Yeah.
Make
You
room
should.
for somebody else.
You should.
Make room for some person else. So I am saying, and I am calling on this government to rethink what they're doing. And I don't. The reason is that they're protecting the national insurance scheme. That is what they're doing. After borrowing $1 million over it and not replacing it, but then we as poor persons have to pay for it. Look at this one lifespan after retirement. This is a big eye opener. The earlier, and is that lost on me, that the earlier you retire, the longer you live. Look at it. 51, 55. But I now see why those ministers would get in there. So if I'm young, if you have a young person who becomes elected in the next election, say at 29, 30 years old, he serves 2 terms. 10 years later, 29, he's 39. At 39 years, having served 2 terms, he can retire and get a pension. And you're asking persons, the same politicians are setting rules and regulations to ask persons who sometimes work much more than them to work right into the grave. So
These
I'm
statistics here are very interesting.
very
Uh,
interested. Thank you, Dave.
Very interesting. And as
Hold
I had said
a minute. Let me say good
before,
night to the pastor.
oh yeah,
Well, good night. Good night
Good night.
to
Good night. Good night.
you, Mr. Bob. Great to
Not
see
too
you.
bad at all.
Mama Rose,
Good to see you.
tonight.
Yes.
Blessings on both of you. It's great to
Yes,
be here.
please. I know you have something
Interested.
for us later. Yes. And you
Yes, sir.
what is on, yes, you see what is on the screen. That the younger
Yes.
you retire, the longer you live. So we probably now see we can pick up on the agenda of this government. 62, you live to 74. 68, I'm not saying the bottom of the page. You have to take it up for me. At 65, you die. Oh dear. So at 68, you're right in the grave, Pastor. Retirement at 68, you're right in the grave.
Right. Right. Pretty much a death sentence.
What they're proposing cannot be right for in any stretch of the imagination. Cannot be right.
Yes, I completely agree.
Cannot be right.
Completely.
So thank you, Rose, again. for
I
sharing with
thank
me.
you too.
Right, and we're gonna make sure that we give the pastor his time so we can have some discussion as well. And we want to thank you
Yeah.
for getting in and making it tonight, Pastor. After a long time, I've not seen you here on Friday night, so I'm going to
Yes.
share this moment with you. So welcome, and you
Thank
can
you
get
so much.
your presentation.
Yeah, it's great to be here tonight, and really interesting discussion that you were having. Again, what is very critical for us to understand is who's really running Barbados. Okay, and this goes to show us that this current administration, um, and people, I have, people see me and they say, "Okay, man from the Marshall Insurance." Sometimes people say, "Well, why are you so hard? Why are you all so hard on the government? The government trying their best." And I said, "Yeah, they're pretty much trying their best to destroy the country." Um, but when you look at the reality of this administration is just attempting to make themselves look big by becoming compliant or trying to keep Barbados in line with what's going on internationally. If you had the opportunity to go online and look at the pensionable ages of the larger countries, um, Barbados is pretty much complying with that. It is not that this government has a plan to enrich their nation. They're just doing their part to try to make Barbados what they would term to be internationally compliant. So, for instance, again, and you want to look at this because I thought that in 1966 we had broken away from England. I thought that 4 years ago we had broken away from England in regards to becoming a republic. But if you look at the pensionable age in England at the moment, uh, between 66 for women, I believe 68 for men. Okay, and so you want to look at the big difference there versus what we're doing in Barbados. We, as a smaller nation, how is it that our pensionable age greatly exceeds those other larger international countries? And here's the reason for this. There has been no national development on the scale to enrich the people. Okay? Absolutely no national development on the level to enrich the people. Okay? Because I personally believe, yes, people should benefit from, giving and working in Barbados. But this administration has been systematically taken away from the people of Barbados by borrowing from this very same NIS scheme. And they've borrowed millions. Okay, they've borrowed millions of dollars, and they're continuing to do it. So when you look at the idea of pension versus prosperity, we have a very big issue. Okay, so the more that you do not produce national development, or what I call consciousness development, where there are platforms, there are networks, there are systems that are in place to consistently move your nation and move your people forward, then you're going to have to depend on your pension scheme. And if the government is already dipping their hands into the pension scheme, then it already spells danger for those individuals, and you're going to have to work right up until 76, 77, 78. This is pretty crazy for this level of activity to be in a small country that they said this is world class. So you really want to pay attention to what's going on, and you just said that you're about to cross over into that 60 dimension, and you will see that it spells danger for those individuals. You look, as you said just now, that a person who is at age 29 who may win a seat in government and serve 10 years. And I've heard politicians say this, that they only want 10 years because it means that they understand that as long as I get 10 years, I am entitled to retirement, I'm entitled to pension.
Is that
Okay?
10 years or 10 or 2 terms?
Two terms rather, two
Yes, right.
terms, right?
Yes.
Which should be 10
10
years.
years, yes.
Okay, should be 10 years. So there's a rigging of the system, and there's no honesty to the people of Barbados. Now, I want you to think about this. If we have an element in the Word of God, Deuteronomy chapter 8, 18, where the Lord is speaking to the children of Israel. He said, "And I give you power to get wealth, that I may establish covenants. So I give you power to get wealth, so that I may continue to establish the covenant that I had." The problem is that many times when people read that, they think that God is talking to poor people. If you remember when they came out of Egypt, the Bible says that they spoiled the Egyptians. The Egyptian gave them their gold, their silver, their precious jewelry. They gave them, all of the wealth pretty much, and they spoiled the Egyptians. So when God said, "Behold, I give you power to get wealth," He's not talking to people who are poor. He's talking to people who are already rich. So it is easier for a wealthy person if you say to them, "We're creating avenues now for you to become wealthier." They will pick that up more than if you say, "Okay, to a poor person, we're creating opportunities for you to become wealthier." So they're spectrums. So one of the things that we've seen in Barbados currently, I know individuals that work in on the plantation. Okay, and I know for myself, I know one particular gentleman that worked on the plantation, and he told me he worked on the plantation. He would go in and he would sign, for his load and what he cut, and that plantation did not send in any information for him to the scheme, and so he now gets just a regular citizen pension, and he worked the majority of his life
Yeah.
on the plantation, while there are other persons who got their stuff sent in, and they're getting in some cases, between $1,800 a month, a check for $960. So he said when he went to the national insurance to discuss the matter with them and to have them look into the operation of the plantation, that is still pretty much in existence today. They said, well, there was no information sent in for you, and since you would have to get a lawyer, and then you would have to go after the plantation. Now, where are you gonna get money from to get a lawyer to go over, to go after a plantation
Yes.
owner that has changed, and then that has not sent it? I mean, where is he going to get finances now to hire
Okay,
a lawyer
yeah, yeah.
to go after the whole plantation? I mean, it's crazy. So again, we're looking at national development. What has happened in the last 7 years to produce the level of national development on a scale? Listen, even with all of these hotels and these high-end levels that are being built here in Barbados, you want to look at the kind of jobs that are going to be offered at those facilities. And then you want to look at what are you going to be getting in terms of pension when you have these particular jobs, these what we call these low-wage jobs that people are going to have to be operating at on a daily basis at these levels. It still says what we're doing is that we have made a huge error with our national insurance scheme. We've dipped our hands into the people's money. We've used their monies, and we have not been able to recover from the losses that we have made. And so it is this system. We have to make people work longer, and we have to hope that in working longer that we have individuals who die, so that the more people we have dying, the less people we have to pay. Okay, so my opinion is that this is a very dangerous system that this administration is about to levy on the people of Barbados, because it shows that they are not hoping to pay pensions out. So we never had a prosperity system in place. We don't have a national development system in place that people can say, okay, well, we've done well from our own country. We've done well in Barbados to the point that I do not have to worry about if I get a pension. So there's no national prosperity. So you have more and more people who are going to be dependent on their pension. Now, also, I have to add to this, if you look at the current state of the country right now with the massive amounts of young people who are not working and in time to come are going to have to benefit from that. So how do you pay pensions out to individuals who were not gainfully employed but are citizens of Barbados? So what are you going to do? So we can see here, Mr. Bob, that this administration is they're playing hooky with the people of Barbados. And that should never be, because this nation was on its way to being one of the most prosperous and most successful developing nations in the world. What has happened to Barbados since 2018? That's the question that we have to answer.
I want to ask you a question. You said that creating opportunities, and I want you to explain creating opportunities of wealth and prosperity.
Yes.
As opposed to
Okay.
what we're saying now. Explain that creating opportunities of wealth and prosperity for us.
Okay. First of all, let me say this, and I'm going to use the exact element of moving towards the high-end destination. The reality is that, and I just came back from the U.S. and I had the opportunity to, be in certain areas, talk with certain individuals, and see certain things for myself. You're moving towards, let's say, high-end. You bring mega wealthy people to Barbados. You're not just bringing millionaires now. You're bringing multi-millionaires and ultra-millionaires to the island. Okay. Now, you know that there is always the possibility of injury. You know, there's always the possibility of somebody not feeling well, not doing well. Okay. So look at your facilities that can administer treatment to these individuals. So in our school systems right now, there are no connections to nursing, to individuals who are EMTs. I visited a hospital while I was there in the United Kingdom, in the US, sorry, and I counted when I was taken there. I counted close to like 20 ambulances on the outside, and there was still spaces for other ambulances that were already out during service. And when I got there and I sat and I started to talk with the individual, I spoke to one of the top surgeons that were there, and he kind of outlined some things to me about the nature of their operation. And one of the things that they're already doing over there, they're constantly recruiting. He actually gave me some information, and he said we're pretty much already in the schools, and we're not just recruiting females, we're also recruiting males, because part of their system is that they have a specific individual that is being trained to do a certain thing. So one person, they're coming from the school systems. You have a person who's trained, or individuals who are being trained to take x-rays. There are individuals who are being trained in phlebotomy. There are individuals who are being trained, in terms of running the machineries they have for taking temperature and making sure that. So there's specific areas that people are being trained in, and in the area of the medical field, So they're already going into the schools and bringing people out and starting the training. And as they finish their courses, then they're able to go into work. So you actually have individuals who are in school who are working because they're training at the same time. And this is because the hospital, they're not waiting for people to die and go on. They're starting that process right now. Okay, so we do not have any schools in Barbados that are training and already equipping our young people for the world of work. Let me also go ahead and say this. We do not have any high industrial activity in Barbados. We do not have one single cogeneration plant, okay, that has the ability to turn, garbage into electricity or into other elements. We're not linking with other countries to enhance our technology so that our people or young men or young women are being trained in very high areas of work so that if it comes to them actually even having to leave Barbados and go overseas for employment, at least they have been trained in Barbados. So you want to look around and see that all industry is pretty much gone out of Barbados. And that's one of the things that our government made sure when we were growing up. We had the industrial estate at the airport. We had the industrial estate at Grisettes. We had the industrial estate at Harbor. We had the industrial estate over in St. Lucie. So, many times once individuals come out of school, they could go to work, but you don't have that system right now. So this is where I said pension versus prosperity.
Right.
So what are you doing to say, okay, these are the jobs of the future? What systems are in place to help our young people become a part of that system? Absolutely none. Okay. So it means that you have to go to school. You have to go through this long process of 5 years or 6 years at secondary school, 2 years of BCC, another 2, 3, or 4 years of university. By the time you're finished with all of that, you're now coming up with all of these degrees, all of this PhD, all of this masters. But where in Barbados can you find a job to match what you have been trained to do? Very, very little. The opening is very, very little. So this is what I mean, Mr. Bab, when I say that pension versus prosperity, national development, and consciousness development. This is not happening in Barbados any longer. So this is one of the reasons why a lot of the work sites here in Barbados, there are little Barbadians working at them, okay? Because we have not developed our people. We have allowed the drugs, we've allowed the gang culture, the ZR culture, all of these things that have come back and interfere with our youth, because they understand if you want to have a site, you have a building that needs to go up in 1 year. Okay, you need people on the job that are going to come. They're not going to come there high. They're not going to take their break and smoke. They're not going to get angry when someone in authority speaks to them or asks them to do something. They're not going to pull a knife or start a fight or do something crazy. And this is one of the reasons why there's this systematic work to keep young Black Barbadian men off those jobs, because they have psychoanalyzed the status of the average young Black male in Barbados. Don't have any credentials from school, probably did not even finish school, is out there not properly groomed, no skills. And so, how are you going to move forward if this is the broader framework that has come now and it's interfered with the actual success of the country? So we have to stop right now and reset everything that we've been doing. You look at it, the mere fact that we have to keep importing nurses out of Ghana tells us that how is it that Ghana is able to produce so many nurses and send them over here, and we have our young people here at the moment that are not capable or they do not have the exposure. And this is why I've said over and over, why is it that we're keeping our people back where we can create the opportunity, get them into a learning environment, get them into a skilled environment to make sure that our country is productive and that people who come and they want to be a part of Barbados and they want to invest in Barbados, that they can do so. The last point I want to make before I come back to you, I was talking to a very, very wealthy individual, and he was quite happy to tell me, that his wife and himself, he said they invest in Barbados. There's this particular government ministry that they give. He said we give them $100,000. Every year. He said we give them pretty much $100,000, and it was this look on their face like we are really doing something to help Barbados. But I said, I don't mean to be off or anything like this, but if that ministry takes that 100,000 and they go to NASCO or they go to Simpson Motors or they go to Courtesy and they purchase a Navara from Courtesy or a Hilux from NASCO, or they purchase a Mitsubishi from HK, which is roughly around that same amount of money to do courier. Okay, so that really isn't an investment into the future of Barbados. This is where we have to be very, very careful in understanding national development, which we are not seeing with this administration, and then consciousness development. So this is why they are afraid of more and more people having to receive non-contributory pension because they realize we don't have the resources to do it. And this is why they're stretching the pensionable age in a hope that, people don't live that long so that we don't have to put out that type of money.
Yes, I see an article before that Dave has posted, but what you have outlined there is a real focus on educational transformation. And maybe it's time that we have two other institutions in Barbados, like the Barbados Community College, as well as the Polytechnic, because there are limited spaces at both of those institutions. If we're restructuring our education to make our children work ready in the shortest time possible. So therefore, if you set up a secondary system that produces all of these people at the bottom, but then to move on, you only have two institutions, you're creating a bottleneck and frustration as well. So therefore, what you've outlined is transformation, not only at secondary level, but all the way up to tertiary, where the spaces for further education is created as well. That is what I got from what you're saying. And what you also said earlier, that when you went overseas, you got the opportunity to meet people. I have never heard our Prime Minister come back and articulate this kind of moving forward for our nation. We hear all the philosophical pronouncements, but the practical way of governing the country, we have not heard from her. So that is what is also lacking with all that money spent on trips. So I'm hoping that they usually listen, that they listen to how this transformation should look at the secondary, primary, secondary, and tertiary level, so that we don't create bottlenecks. Okay.
Exactly. One of the things that I also saw that I think is very, very important to understand is that part of the infrastructure that we need today in Barbados is the technology for the future. Okay. So while I was there, there's one person that comes. There's one person that is assigned to that area. That one person comes. They have the machine to do all of the X-rays right on the spot. Okay. They have all of that information. They have the technology. Just one person, they come in, they do the X-rays, and they have all they handle that job is to handle that equipment. They're not in a line. Someone is in a line waiting. You'll get your X-ray. No, all of this is done. I mean, just right on the spot. So what we do not have in Barbados is the future technology that creates jobs. Okay, we're still dealing with old technology, and in many cases, technology that does not work. All right, and so in sitting and talking with these individuals, I'm talking, as I said, I'm talking to the top surgeon of this facility. I'm not going to mention the name, but this is the gentleman at the top, and he's outlining that we are particularly in schools right now. We're asking the young people, do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a nurse? So we're not waiting on them to finish college. See, this is what I'm talking about. See, they're not waiting on these kids to finish college, okay? Because finishing college doesn't give you experience, okay? They're saying this. Do you want to be this? Do you want to be that? Well, let's get you there. This is what we want to start you with. Now, I grew up watching, as a boy, Doogie Howser indeed. Doogie Howser was a youngster who went through college, finished college at 14, and by 16, he was a licensed surgeon. Okay, so one of the things that's very critical about that level of operation is that when they recognize his genius, they didn't leave him to finish primary. They put him in college early. And what we have in Barbados is a kickback system. Okay, it's a system that is on slow motion. And by the time our children finish school or finish BCC or finish college, they still don't have money in their account. Okay, now when I was younger, there was every Saturday there was a show called Emergency, and it chronicles the operation of a firehouse. And whenever that fire truck, you're talking about a world-class destination. Now this is back in the late 70s, early 80s. But whenever that fire truck left, the ambulance moved with it. Okay? Whenever that fire truck moved to go to a scene, the ambulance went along with it. So it was not just firemen, but EMTs as well. And I saw that. That's way back. So I'm asking myself in Barbados, you talking about world class. Why is an ambulance coming from St. Michael to pick somebody up in St. Lucie to go back to St. Michael? You're dead. Okay? So what exactly are we trying to tell the rest of the world? Are we a world-class destination because we have a few multi-million-dollar facilities and buildings here in Barbados? We world-class because we have a 4-diamond or 5-diamond or a 4-star restaurant or whatever? Does that actually make us a world-class destination? Or are we world-class because people come here and they see that our people are highly literate, they're highly educated, there's provision being made, there's interest into our school systems already to look at, what is it that our child wants to be? You want to be an engineer, what type of engineer? Structural engineer, electrical engineer. Okay, so we're going to give you math, we're going to give you English, we're probably going to give you a second language, but the remainder of the day, you're going to be connected to a firm here in Barbados that will begin the process of you moving towards what you want to do. It's a all go slow system, and the people that we have, Mr. Bob, they don't have the wisdom to manifest national development. So when you're bragging that my $1.5 million in travel fees has brought in this amount of grants, you're traveling to get grants. I mean, you're to get grants? Is that what you're traveling to do? When the reality is, what can you do in your own country to get your people to prosper? What can you do in Barbados that makes people want to come to Barbados and invest in Barbados because you have a smooth running operation machinery that is developing your people? Okay. Now, my wife, she traveled to Colombia years ago on her job, and she had the opportunity to speak with some business people over there. And what they did is that they went on the block, and the guy invested his money in the whole system, went on the block, and they had like a shipbuilding firm that was there from the US. They went on the block and they talked to the young man and said, okay, listen, we're here in your country, and we want to give some of you an opportunity, not just learning how to build the ships, but learning to install the electronics, building the electronics, doing the fine work, doing upholstery, all of that, and so many of the young men came off the block and were able to get into that program and started to, rebuild their lives and make their own money. So this is what I'm talking about when I say national development. We don't have that. We don't have that, Mr. Bell.
So you're saying that, I want you to say, I think I'm hearing that you're saying that this about national development or national prosperity is not just about, or a first class or world class destination is not just about hotels on the
Yes, sir.
west, south and west coast. It's about having upgraded services, social services, your health,
Yes, sir.
your education, your transportation must be brought along with the building of hotels to make it a world-class destination. And not because
Yes.
we have attracted persons to build along the coast, the huge hotels. So that's what I'm talking about. So
Yes, sir.
yes, I hope the government is hearing and don't come to us and tell us that construction of hotels means that we're developing into a world class when our social services for our locals is at an all-time low.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right. Now, let me say this because I grew up, of course, you and I, we grew up here in St. Peter. St. Peter, let's say St. Peter and St. Lucie, where we were growing up, very high, plantations. There are 36 plantations in St. Peter alone, all of them growing cane. Okay, where we were growing up. Do you know this? There was never one single fire house constructed in St. Peter or in St. Lucie. I mean, not even in St. George where there's a sugar belt. What do you think about this?
They had first. Yes, it's true.
You think about stuff like that, where you have the reality is that you're going to have a cane fire at some point in time, and we've had them, and some of them became very destructive. But where is the fire truck coming from? Okay, to get into St. Lucie or to get into inner St. Peter. So you want to tell the people who are wealthy and who understand. See, Sandy Crest is a product of a situation where, from my understanding, a death took place because of not being able to get to a facility on time. I understand the statement that was said is if the individual had gotten the child to a medical facility 10 minutes, it could have been different. So Sandy Crest was built, an investment was made. Okay, so look at our polyclinics still cannot open today for 24 hours. You're telling me that can't happen. Why? It can't happen because nobody is being trained. Nobody's being trained to do it. Nobody is being trained to do it. Okay, and when your elderly persons go off the scene, then you got to do the whole work now of, you know, getting somebody new who may not know what's going on, and then the whole system collapses again. So you want to look at the reality when you say, okay, we're in St. Peter now. You know, we got Port St. Charles, we got Port Ferdinand, we got the Pendry, you know, marina that's coming. We got 3 marinas in St. Peter alone. The only parish with 3 marinas. Okay, and we're asking individuals, okay, we're seeing all of this grandeur, but just cross over the bridge, just go around the roundabout they have there, and you go right into 6 Men's, and you know, coming right out of all of that grandeur, you're coming right into a place where the roads need to be fixed anyway. So what are you saying to the rest of the world about how you're preparing for your young people going forward? Now, look at the reality of something as simple as this. You have recently the Prime Minister's Cup football competition. Okay, I've spoken to individuals who are a part of it. Is it produced in such a way that it captures the rest of the world? No. No, is it, does it have a level of international flair to it? No.
No.
After that, what type of coaching, what type of training, what type of development is going on? I just heard that the Jamaican bobsled team qualified for the Olympics. A country that does not see snow at all, and they have a bobsled team. So you tell me, Mr. Bab, is this national development that we're seeing, or is this just someone that's walking around masquerading like everything is okay when we know that everything isn't okay?
Masquerading because
pretty much.
it's just parochial. It has nothing to do with pushing our sports person beyond the beyond the fields in Barbados, even regionally. So you're correct. We're after the Prime Minister Cup is over, what happened to those outstanding footballers? Where do they go within the region? Who was here to see the talent and to do recruiting?
Good
Nobody.
Question. Good. Okay. Did we have anybody from ESPN?
No.
Okay. Okay. So basically what you're doing is just having guys dressed as a team, but just having a scrimmage.
Yeah, that is it. Because you're talking about creating opportunities for progress and wealth, but we are creating a situation in Barbados for dependency. So the Prime Minister had a cup and gave us a couple of dollars. That is dependency.
Pretty much. Pretty much. And that's you know, I tell this, someone asked me, you know, Apostle Stanford, you know, elections are coming up. What are you doing? You know, what are you doing? You know, and you know, we got into a very interesting conversation, and I told them point blank, as far as parties are concerned, I told them I would never be a part of the Barbados Labour Party, and they said why? I said, for one, I would never join the Barbados Labour Party because if you have to look into the Democratic Labour Party for leaders, I would definitely be with the Democratic Labour Party because you're going into them and siphoning off people they work with in order to make your party look good. So you have no leaders. You have no leaders. And that is where I believe a lot of money is being placed there to, you know, make sure that the island never sees the cracks that are within that party. I personally believe that the Barbados Labour Party is in shambles right now. That's my personal belief from my spiritual consciousness of how I see things in operation. And the reality is, Mr. Bob, that our people must understand that the way things are being done, when you lift people out of other parties, and within days you're masquerading with them, you're showing the public that you do not care about democracy. You're showing the public that, you know, want this one system government. You're showing the people of Barbados that you don't really care about them, because there's a way for things to be done. There's a protocol. And when you just consistently go after individuals within the other party, it goes to show you that you don't have any leaders. And then the last thing I want to say about this is that you look in the last 7 years, the leadership potential of all of those ministers in the Barbados Labour Party, their leadership potential has been zapped from them. It's been stolen from them. Okay, many of them cannot impromptu. They cannot speak to the media. They got to be checked. They got to be given speeches. Their speeches got to be checked, because they don't have the ability to speak directly to the media in an immediate open forum. Okay, the most thing you will get is on November 31st. Okay, so you got to realize what's going on right now, and kind of keep your head on to recognize that the landscape politically right now is in a very bad state of affairs. And this is one of the reasons I think the public in Barbados must now begin the process of really questioning, even those hardcore Barbados Labour Party supporters. You got to begin to question, what is the future of the island going to be? What is it going to look like? What it's going to be like? Versus just being there and not saying, okay, well, let me just go ahead, put my vote here, and then not realize what's going on. So I think it's very, very critical at the moment for the nation to understand that we are at a very serious place where our destiny, the future of Barbados, the future of our young people, very, very serious place where this is concerned. And the season has come for us to really begin to ask those critical questions and begin to rise up as a people and begin to ask, okay, where are we going to be 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 7 years from now? What is Barbados going to look like? And I think that's going to be a very, very critical but very necessary level of question that we're going to have to put forward, not to this administration, but it's questions that we have to ask ourselves as a people, so that we can determine where we are going to be in the future, and whether or not we're moving closer to our future, or if the future is moving further and further away from us, and we have taken a U-turn, or we've taken a left turn or a right turn away from where we are supposed to be as a country. And there's one more thing that I want to say here before I come back to you, but I remember when I was campaigning in St. Peter, the last election, or the previous election, I met a gentleman over there by the name of Mr. Brown, and Mr. Brown he told me he was the first driver of the gantry crane in the port. He was the first driver, and he said he remember. I don't remember exactly the year, but he said he remembered that year that Barbados amassed something like 310,000 tons of sugar. And he said all cut by hand, loaded onto the donkey carts and the tractors and the lorries that they had at the time. All of these factories that were in operation. 310,000 tons of sugar, Mr. Bob. And he said to me, he started crying. He said to me, it pains me that I know I am going to die in a Barbados that is now struggling to produce 29,000 tons. He said 300,000. Okay. And then, to tell you, Mr. Bab, that we have people at the top who have no clue what's going on. So I was talking to very influential individual here in Barbados, and they were telling me that they took a party of individuals who company here in Barbados that own some plantations in the north of the country, and they called and said, "We want to go. We want to see the equipment in operation. We want to see how the canes are harvested. We want to see the harvester functioning and the trailers being loaded." And they said, "Okay, well, we're going to plan it, and we're going to take you to see what's going on." So they took these individuals out in the field. They came in their ties, came in their jackets, and they went to one particular plantation here in St. Peter, and they were walking through the field while the harvester was, cutting the cans and loading them onto the trailer. And she said, one of these top individuals now said, "What is this white stuff that is on the ground?" Said, what do you call this white stuff that is on the ground? And they told him it's called trash. Okay, so how are you controlling all of this, and you don't know that what is released from the harvester, that white stuff that is on the ground, is called trash? So it goes to show us that we have a lot of people who are in place running the system, but they have no idea what the system is really all about.
Much food for thought, but I want to zero in on something, two things about these current ministers or parliamentarians of the ruling party. They start every sentence with, "The Prime Minister said this. The Prime Minister want this. The Prime Minister is looking to this." Never an initiative from their own heads. It is always scripted to highlight the Prime Minister. So her going outside and going against, running for 2 terms and changing her mind to run again is not surprising, because when we look within that party, there's no type. Which one can we point to?
Right.
So they are having a leadership crisis that they're trying to cover with the
Exactly.
only. So I am saying persons, we are sometimes but most of the time we are 1 foot in the grave. So keep that in mind. And we have a party that is in power that people keep saying, "Oh, another 30 love," that have a leadership crisis.
Right.
So
yeah, we do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, they for instance, they just had the Attorney General that he resigned, and who do they pick to run in that seat? Someone who won one race. Okay, so it's not continuing a standard. There's no standard for who we want to take over here. There's no standard. Okay, and all of them, they have allowed the leader of the Barbados Labour Party, they've allowed her to take away their leadership ability. All of them. I mean, I do not understand how so many individuals could allow their mouths to be silent, and the nation didn't see them evolve in the last 7 years. I don't know how they could sit there like that and allow their leadership power to be drained away from them. Okay, so you can see that they have a leadership crisis within the party, which is, one of the reasons why they have to look, because the Democratic Labour Party has done a fantastic job in their selection of persons that they want to put forward as candidates. And that's kudos to the selection team there and Mr. Thorne for doing a fantastic job in making sure that the elective process within the party is continued. But you can see that there is a careful look of the Barbados Labour Party into the Democratic Labour Party. And she's right to say that she's talking to people.
That is borne out by the fact that another person who is looking and having a voice for youth seem to have gone over.
Yeah,
and
pretty
the
much.
reason, yes. And then we see I don't know why the Democratic Labour Party is taking so long to project their candidates of young, intelligent, professional persons. As far as I
Yeah,
know, all of them are employed. They are
pretty much.
successful at what they do.
Yeah.
Whereas this group, they won an election on 2 occasions, not to be representatives, but to represent the leader. They don't
Well,
say anything about the problems in their community.
yeah, pretty much.
They put on,
And don't
they're going to
forget that
put
we
on
had,
they're going to put on a show at the Lesavon School something this weekend, and they are going to have the gall to drive from where they're coming through the bad roads of St. Thomas to have a glitz and glamour of selecting a candidate in a constituency that they have ruled for so many years and is probably the worst kept constituency in Barbados. And they're going
there
to
you
go
go.
up there. They're going to, and a lot of them are going to decide which pothole to fall in to get to Lesavon School to hold a glitz and glamour show to select a
Yeah,
candidate. And I
yeah.
can't understand what Barbados do not tell them to give them the walking papers.
Okay. I agree. Uh, I was pretty much informed um, by certain individuals that part of the structure that they have as to why they operate the way they operate is that once an event is under the BLP, information is sent to all of the constituency offices, and they are told that people must come from within the constituency. All of this, so there must be an implosion. So people must come from all of the constituencies to the event to make it look as though that it is, there's just overwhelming support. Okay?
Because past they're treating politics as a sideshow.
Right. Exactly.
They're treating it as a
Exactly.
show, and
Yeah.
the politics should not be a show. It's not the show who can put up the most posters, who can put up.
Exactly.
It cannot be that. It cannot. Politics cannot be about who can spend the most money.
Shouldn't be. Shouldn't be. If you notice that, I think let me just say this before it slips my mind. When I listen to that um, statement, that video by Mr. Arthur years ago, he made a statement that I think Barbadians need to pay attention to because it shows that he knew that leading the country was no longer a matter of democracy. He said in his statement that he says Mia Motley listens to people like Peter Wickham, and they have literally quoting what Mr. Arthur said, his quote, that she listens to him, and they have made her believe that she has a divine right to lead Barbados. Okay? So with a statement like that, it means that right now, democracy in Barbados is no longer a matter of democracy. It is a matter that somebody has been led to believe I have a divine right to lead this country and nobody else is to lead it. And that spells danger. Okay? It spells danger. Recently, in the election in St. Vincent, where the Mr. Gonzalez mentioned that he used Jeremiah chapter 1 that before he was in his mother's womb, he was chosen to be a leader, implying Jeremiah being called to be a prophet, not to lead a nation, but a prophet to make sure that the nation follows God. So he's saying that from what he's been told and from what individuals probably within religious organizations told him, which is what led him to having to beg, at the latter end, please lift me up, please, I beg you, because it's not a matter of I've done what was necessary to make this country better. I've used this country to enrich my own life and my family. Okay? I've not given you, I've not served you the way that I should have. You know, so please give me another chance to do what after 25 years? To do what? Okay? And this is now becoming our plight here in Barbados. After 2018, we're now 2025, going into 2026. What has happened? What has been built to raise our people? What has been done to make it better for our youth? What's been done to make it better for our elderly? Come on, where are the systems in place? You want to come and talk about the water in St. Lucie, that is water that is, you know, good for consumption? Are you out of your mind? In 2025, this is what Bajans are subjected to. Are you serious? I'm gonna put a video out, you know, on my Facebook page and in a couple of days, to show Barbadians, if they don't really know. I'm just gonna show them. Probably just gonna be about 2 minutes long, but just to show them exactly what's going on, you know. But the reality is that, again, national development and national consciousness development, they're not about that. They're just about pop, pageantry, looking good, red shirts, you know, biggest stage, heavy entertainers, but there's no real plan to better Barbados coming out of this administration. And we're not in a very dangerous place. If our people don't wake up fast enough and realize we have to do something about this now before it goes from bad to worse.
Yes, we are at a stage where it is troubling that we were more, and we have that defense by the influencers who will more take you to task for highlighting the issues and the fact that we are worse off in 2025 than we were in 2018 at
Correct.
all levels. But and we are influenced by those persons because they are protecting their interests, because it easy couple of $1,000s per month on top of what you're getting, whether it's your normal salary or your pension, covers, makes you more comfortable at this stage. So therefore, they are protecting their own interests. It is time that the majority of people in Barbados, voters in Barbados, decide that they are going to look out for their future.
Yeah, I think I missed you there.
Yes, I said that they need to look out for that. The majority of Barbadians need to look out for their future instead of allowing the influencers on social media to influence their thinking as it relates to this Barbados Labour Party and what they're doing. And you made mention of these pollsters who are paid to create a narrative that confuses the voting public. So they
Right.
say often enough, oh, they're not the opposition party is not ready, the Democrat Labour Party is not ready. So therefore they give that impression, they repeat it on the call-in programs. You have the moderators saying it. I cannot understand how, for the life of me, that you are a government that is making decisions that affects your everyday living, and that you're going to focus on the opposition that makes no decisions. But
Right.
all they're doing, they're getting themselves ready and their candidates ready to be the government in waiting. So why are you asking, questioning the opposition and saying to them, give us solutions and allow this government to walk free?
It's again all part of their propaganda. And Mr. Bob, you know, I was talking to a gentleman here in St. Peter, and I had said to them, you know, when I was campaigning back then, I made some comments to them, and you know, this guy was adamant. Now his mind has changed. Now he said, Scatterbury, you know, you gotta be connected to one of the big parties to do things for the people. He said, you know, no one man can. He said, no one man can do anything for the people. I said, okay. So we got into a discussion recently. And I said to him, well, listen, you guys went and voted for a person that's connected to a party and you haven't seen him in 7 years. So you haven't gotten anything in 7 years. That's unfortunate because you and I know that St. Peter is probably one of the wealthiest parishes in the country.
Yes, you're correct. You're correct. It takes in all the sectors: health,
yeah,
agriculture, tourism, fisheries,
okay,
education, all of the
yep.
major sectors.
You exactly, and as I spoke to him and I said, you want to look at what's going on, even in Spikestone right now, you know what's going on over there. But to get back to the point of leadership in the country, do you know that I started? Are you aware that I started Spikestone Life?
No, I don't. No, I didn't. Just let me fill me in.
Yeah, I started Spikestone Alive. I did that. I did that event, if I remember the year. But I started the first Spikestone Alive, and I did that project in Spikestone with I raised $2,450 to do that event. I went around to the businesses in Spikestone, and I asked them to lower prices just for that one day. Just for that one day, and afterwards, you know, I went around. They were telling me, yeah, we had people that came into Spikestone. You know, I didn't have the full amount of money to, you know, I had queue in the community there for like 1 hour or so because, you know, it was very limited funds. You know, Jordan's lowered prices, Eddie's lowered prices, the stores and Spikestone at the time lowered prices for the day, and you know, people were saying, yeah, we got. You know, people coming in, a lot of folk came in, you know, chef at KFC, you know, all of these are different things that we did. We had, you know, music at certain points. My wife can tell you what that was. It's a fantastic time that we had. But the idea was to lower prices to attract individuals. Now they turned around and stole that idea, but they kept the name Spikestone Life, and it's just music. You know, Gabby red plastic bag, you know, and they blocked the road off for you know, for the whole day. And but the idea that I had was basically to help the stores in Spikestone to make money on that particular day, which many of them said, yeah, we did see a profit during that day. And this is what happens when you have individuals who have no vision. The Bible talks about woe unto him who steals your brother's vision, and that's something that they have done. Okay, so one of the things that we recognize about the cross section of the Barbados Labour Party, they have no leadership skill and they have no vision. Okay, so when you have a combination of individuals who have no leadership skills and they have no vision, then you're in trouble because the Bible tells you clearly, where there is no vision, the people perish. Okay, and this is what we're seeing in Barbados. And even the people who jump and run behind this political party, they themselves are suffering. They themselves are struggling.
Yes.
You know,
they can't articulate a position of their own.
Exactly.
It has to be rubber stamped by the Prime Minister. Expect this. The PM expects the Prime Minister monthly do this. Not one single vision for any of the ministries that they're in. Not one.
Exactly.
Our voters are really serious about our future. We're having visionless, not represent MPs in Parliament.
Yeah,
we have to do
exactly.
something. Yes.
And that's what we need right now. We need what I would call visionary leadership. Okay, and that is critical to where Barbados is going to be going in the next 3 to 4 to 5 years. And I'm just saying when we're looking at even Mr. Bob, the response of our emergency systems when we're even having something as simple as a flood. Okay, our emergency systems where residents have to go and borrow things. You have individuals in Barbados that have better equipment than even the fire station. See, so where neighbors have to do things on their own because we don't have the systems that are in place, and then the way how things are implemented. All of those are things that are very, 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 very vital. I had, a wise man said to me years ago, it's okay to have a good idea, but a good idea can be improperly implemented and it will make the idea look bad. So when you have a good idea, you also have to have the right implementation to
Correct.
make the idea actually look like a good idea. And they have not shown Barbadians that they have good ideas and that they have the ability to implement those ideas. And when you come and sit in front of Barbadians and you are telling Barbadians about 10 laws and you want them to run and get compliant, and I tell the AG, I am interested in prosecuting. No,
You want money.
I want money. I want money. You're broke. I
don't have
want
a-
money. So you don't have no vision, and you don't have any implementation. And the mere fact that even dating back to COVID, you come, you put something in place, then you got to go back 2 days and look at it and then change it because you're not thinking. Okay, there's no wisdom, and over again. Okay, we're going to have it in place. By the 1st of November. 1st of November comes. Okay, we have to extend it because we have to look at this and we have to look at that. Then you do stuff. You put things in place. Then you got to go to Parliament to talk about it. Who does that?
They can't. They don't have the ability to be critical thinkers.
Man.
They can take. I have watched them over the last 7 years, and they can take the best intention and make a mess of it. That is what they're good at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't be making the same mistake over and over and over again. It tells me two things. You're ignorant about leadership. You're pretending to be bright and knowledgeable. You're hiding behind your lack of intelligence when it comes to governance. That is what we've seen in the last 7 years because they continue to make the same mistake no matter what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by now, the people should be questioning their ability to govern any further.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a serious issue. I hope I'm going to have that flyer then.
So today we had a lot of discussion. Yes.
Yes, sir.
I think we lost your. Go ahead. You're back. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was telling you I'm gonna get that flyer and I'm gonna send it to you. The first flyer I did for the just as proof, that I did the first Spike Stone Life event. I'm gonna send that flyer to Marcia so that she can say it for herself. Yeah. So they're very much into stealing, other people's projects and stuff like that. So we'll see how it goes.
Yes, and we want to thank you and Rose Corbin. We're out of time for joining us tonight. We had some good discussion and a lot of food for thought. And I just want to leave with the people that they need to. This is a critical stage, mission critical now as it relates to governance in Barbados. And we are the persons who are responsible for making sure that the future of our children and children's children is secure. So, Pastor, you're going to have the last word before we close for the night.
Well,
You can conclude.
first of all, let me say again, thank you for having me with you. It's always great to be with you, Mr. Bob. So we have a St. Peter connection tonight.
It's true.
On the show. So listen, I just want to say to our people that I believe that the time has come for us to be very, very vigilant and very focused on being on par and being on time with where Barbados need to be. We just did an event over at our ministry, and the thing that we looked at was consulting with the future and asking the future, are we where we need to be? Are we on par, and are we on time with you? Are we going to be where you need us to be when you need us to be there? So critical questions that we have to begin to ask ourselves right now: is Barbados where it needs to be as far as its destiny is concerned? Are we on time? Are we in position? Are we in par where we need to be in terms of making sure that when that season comes for us to collide with our future, that we are in perfect alignment, we are synchronized, and we're able to step into that next season of our nation's greatness and destiny without any interruptions, without any stagnation, or without any fear. So I want to just ask Barbadians to be very conscious tonight, very open, and very prayerful for those who know the ministry of prayer and the secrets of praying and the gift of praying and the value of praying, to really pray for our nation right now as we approach these very difficult times. And let's believe God that we can see change and our nation can get back into that place of blessing.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dave, for keeping up with us. And we want to thank everyone for staying with us tonight. We want to say good night to Marcia wherever she is. And we look forward to being with you again on Sunday night, God willing. And have a good night to all the members of the Loyal Opposition. Good night. Good night to everybody.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
Woman like me got these same problems, thought we were keeping honeybees, but we be still making no honey. We ain't getting no money, so we want to know who the bees working for, who getting all the honey, and who making all of the money. If you got bees who ain't making no honey, who ain't getting no money, what you gonna do but smoke them out, 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 smoke them out. What then, honey? Where is the queen bee? She's still flying all over the place on expensive private jets, using taxpayers' money. She ain't care, cause the I can make honey. If she in there, she forget that we are she to make honey, so that we could make money. We want to know what the workers doing. If we have no honey, we started a fire to smoke them out and not getting attacked by stinking bees who are disguised as honey bees. So we want to know who the bees working for, who getting all the honey, and who making all of the money. Jump in on me, jump in on me, jump, ha, wait, jump in on me, jump in on the honey, jump, quiet, jump in on it, jump in on the honey, jump in on it, jump in on my neighbor, poor man like me, got these same problems, but we were keeping honeybees. We busy making no honey, we ain't getting no money. So we want to know who the bees working for, who getting all the honey, and who making all of the money. If you got bees who ain't making no honey, you ain't making no money. What you gonna do but smoke them out, 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 smoke them out. Fucking Ollie, where is the queen bee? She's still flying all over the place on expensive private jets, using taxpayers' money. She in care, cause the I can make honey. If she in there, she forget that we hire she to make honey, so that we could make money. We want to know what the workers doing. If we have no honey, we started a fire